So I'm gonna start looking for a proper gravel texture that looks very nice. For that, I'm gonna open Quixel, find something that I like for example, gravel ground. Sounds very nice. This one is even better. Yeah, I'm gonna probably blend those two together. Yeah, so let's download this one. You can pick it at a high quality, which I believe it's 4K, which is plenty enough. You can pick at highest for the close-ups, which is still fine, even if it's game related, because we're gonna use only like few texture of it. So make sure to turn this one back to default. And now we have the texture here. So the tiling doesn't work, of course. So I'm gonna do something that looks nice in the viewport from the camera view. 75. No. Yeah, something like this. Okay, looks fine to me. And now we're gonna blend it with another one of its kind. So something close to this, but maybe with variation. And for that, it's very easy. We're gonna start to work on adding some modifier on those. I'm gonna push that away for now. And I'm gonna create some nodes here that gonna allow me to control the overall saturation. So for that, if you want to be fast, we can go to the content drawer, go to Megascan and find something we downloaded. So let's open this texture. Let's go to the main one, the parent. And when you open the shaders, you see that they created their own material function. We're gonna go inside and we're gonna copy those nodes here, which is very easy. So we go back to our material. I'm gonna go back here and I'm gonna connect this to this node here. So what they do is basically having a control. So for that, it's very easy. For this control, they created a node tricolor. So basically you type 3 on your keyboard and you click somewhere. So you create this constant node of 3 parameters. You made it a parameters by converting it. So this is going to be control, blah, blah, blah. And here you give the proper name. So what they did is saturation, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah too. And now you can control like each one individually. Make sure that set to white like they did. And you can even now apply it to like one of the group you want. That's what they did. They -1 the saturation to basically be able to go back to black and white. They multiply it with the brightness, multiply it with the tint, and give a power that controls basically the overall tint that you're gonna add. This one, I'm gonna make sure it's going to layer 1. This one to layer 1. And I can connect this one to here. I'm gonna save. So I'm gonna show you right now a quick effect. So this texture, we're gonna use the same as this one. But for the example, you're gonna understand what I'm doing. Very quickly, we're gonna bring the RGB of the floor, which is RGB mask, this one. I'm gonna drag and drop it here. And this one, I'm gonna use the red for now. I'm gonna apply. So if I go back to my top view, you see, you don't see anything here. The texture looks exactly the same, which is totally normal. It's because I didn't started to add tint and control here. If I start to change the brightness, you can start to see the texture we have underneath. So this is how you can quickly add very nice detail based on a RGB map of Gaia. And if you see, if I go back to my view now, you can really have nice detail here. We're gonna work on this and make this even better. And for that, I'm gonna be inspired by what they did here, which is, for me, works very good. It's one of the best setup so far. Even for the spec, it's very cool. You have a real control. So I'm just gonna copy all of those over. To the metallic, we're not gonna have any metallic, but for now, I'm gonna copy the spec. I'm gonna copy it here. The roughness, also very cool. And the normal, if you want to start to control. You can do the ambient, but I'm not using any ambient here. Now I'm gonna copy this one over here, and etc. and connect all of those together. So let me just clean that up a little bit. I check for the normal, which is this one. So I'm gonna check, connect the normal to the top one, normal to the bottom one. We don't need this one anymore. And this one is gonna go to normal. Which is the green channel. So we don't, this one go to red, but we don't need it. I'm gonna connect directly this one here. And this one go to the roughness. Yeah, I think I'm not gonna use it anymore. I'm gonna delete yeah from here later on. And the spec on metal, I think I'm gonna use this one. The spec on the metal is gonna stay. And this one gonna go here. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure that spec is going to layer 1 because this is layer 1. This is layer 1 as well, and layer 1. This is the roughness of layer 1. The strength, same. And this, layer 1, layer 1. Okay. We should be good to go. Let me apply. If I go to ground now, I have all of these nice nodes now that tell me allow to change the specs and the normal and the colors and everything. And now the annoying part is you're gonna have to copy this over to this one. The only thing now, we're gonna have to make sure everything is albedo control. So I'm gonna L1 control, L1 tint, oops. Tint, that we have one, normal, L1, norm, L1, mean both, L1, max, both. Make sure they go to the proper one. Spec is that. So I should be able to actually have a texture here instead. But let's see. Yeah, I need to bring a texture here. We're gonna bring this over here. Instead, on this gonna be L1 spec, because what the stuff is doing is desaturating the texture and combining like a proper spec L of 0.5 spec, and this is from the albedo override. L1 albedo spec. Make sure they all go to layer 1. This stays, and then you're gonna have to do the same for those ones. So I know it's a bit annoying, but let's speed up the process here. Okay, the only thing I'm gonna do here is connect the albedo directly to the spec here. So I can delete this one. And I might have to change some stuff to the spec later on, but for now we don't care. Let me see, let's apply. Make sure my texture are good here, my RGB mask going here. And now I have my texture here, so let's go back to the view. I like working in viewport, the proper view. And here, if I go to my ground, I can start to play with, so we have the tint under control. Here the same, I have my tint under control. So I can start to play with all of the value that I need. So now you can even play with, I like to desat a little bit. So let's bring everything back to default. And I'm just gonna do the brightness because I want something quite dark, because it's like black sand. Saturation, I can maybe do 8, so we don't have too much of this brown. Contrast, I'm gonna leave it for now. But what I'm gonna play with, it's the rough. So maybe 2 on the max rough. Let's do 8, so it's not too specky. And the second one, despite being the same texture, I'm gonna use the control. Same, make it a bit darker. Or maybe lighter actually. I'm gonna have to be careful here. Same here, because this one I want it a bit more spec though. Because I want it to be still a bit wet. The minimum spec, I'm gonna put like 2, 3. But it's still a bit too dark. But I'm gonna work on the overall brightness. Yeah, so maybe this one, I can bring it to 1.5. Like this. And this one. Like this. So it's not super perfect, but it's a good start. And I think the spec, I'm actually gonna use like a normal value for now. Disconnect this and this, leave that here. So this is L1 spec. And L2 spec. Let me save it. And here I should be able to really control the spec. I think. Yeah, so this one, I'm gonna leave it to 0.5. But the first one, I'm gonna probably reduce it. B3. You want something subtle, not crazy. Like this. So it starts to look already not too bad. What you might want to do is have proper tiling and proper texture. But now we're gonna add other elements to the only thing is, as you can see, the material is a bit messy. So I'm gonna clean that up a little bit. For that, I'm gonna change the order of all of my stuff. So I like to have the texture first. So this one's gonna be 1, 2, 3. And if I apply, you're gonna see that now my textures are on top. Those ones are probably 1, 2, 3 as well. That's why they're competing with each other. So this is gonna be 4, 5. You see, it was 2, 4, 5. This one, I'm gonna leave it after. Maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The spec, I guess. The metal, I can leave it 10. And now if I go back here, yeah, everything is way more organized now. So I have my texture here, my control, my roughness spec. My spec, I might place it just before. So let's check the norm. So for that, it's easy. If you don't really know, you go to, it's 6, and it should be here, right there. So I have my spec, before my rough, metal, and tiling. Tiling, I might place it actually on top because it's something quite important. So I'm gonna do the same and go to 0. And now I have my tiling here. So it's way more organized. And I'm gonna proceed the same with the other one. Okay, so now we have a shader that is very, very clean. What you want to do now is make this a parameters. So convert to parameters. It's gonna be RGB mix. This one's gonna be in on group called blending. Gonna be the first. And now if I save it, I'm gonna have my texture on top here. So I call Z blending, so I go always at the end. And this one, now you'll be able to change the textures. So that's pretty much it for the shader. What I want to do now is work on a very nice blending. So I want to be able to choose between the R, G, and B. So for that, it's very easy. What you want to do first is disconnect the link that you created with the red. And I'm gonna create a mask channel here. So if you wrote channel, you have channel mask parameters. This one is gonna go to the Z blending. It's gonna be 1, That's gonna be the blending 0. And this one is gonna help us pick the red, green, and blue channel. So I'm gonna call it layer color. But before that, what I want to do as well is do something that can be very cool, is connect it to actually a switch. So I'm gonna do the static switch parameters. And this one, I'm gonna say if it's gonna invert or not my mask. So I'm gonna do mask invert. Go to the blending. This one's gonna be so this one 3. I'm gonna connect, because we're not gonna use those single element anymore. I'm gonna connect this to the force, and with an operation called 1 minus, I'm gonna tell him to invert or not these values that we have here. And here, what I can even do, I'm gonna make that a bit tighter. I can now create like a power if I want to use contrast node. So S scalar parameters. This one's gonna be mask contrast, default 0, go to blending. This one's gonna be 3, I believe, 4. And then again, this one I can multiply with, if I want, with a brightness. So same scalar parameters. This one's gonna be mask bright. And this one as well. And I'm gonna connect those into my mask. So now let's apply. So I have my spread mask. I can invert it, select the color, do a contrast, a brightness. Let's check that out. Make sure it's saved. So I have my mask here. Now I can change my texture. So I can pick my texture. I can invert it, which is very nice. But I can also, most importantly, pick the color I want. So the green, the blue, everything that was created from Gaia. And even from there, what I can do is expand the mask, like some sort of Fresnel, make it like brighter. So you have a complete control now over your masking, which is pretty neat. You can go even further, and if you wanted, you could be able to copy those and only do this for the red, do this for the blue, and this for the green. Then you would have green contrast brightness, blue contrast brightness, but it's a bit overkill for my example here. So I'm not gonna do that right there. What I'm gonna do later on is blend those masks with a grunge maps. That's gonna help add even more breakups. And also what I'm gonna do next is add some sort of very nice Fresnel and roughness on overall landscape. It's gonna really help draw the shapes.